Napoleon Bonaparte did not conquer Europe with steel alone. He conquered it with paperwork, with signatures, with seals pressed into hot wax, with balance sheets quietly moving behind the noise of cannons. We're taught to see Napoleon as a battlefield genius, the daring marches, the impossible victories, the man who moved armies like pieces on a chessboard. But that story skips something critical. Empires don't rise on bravery alone. They rise on money that works. And Napoleon understood something most rulers before him never fully grasped. A state can outfight its enemies for a while, but it can only outlast them if it can outfinance them. That is the story you were never taught. When Napoleon enters Paris in 1799, France is a financial wreck dressed in revolutionary slogans. The monarchy didn't fall because it was hated. It fell because it was bankrupt. For decades, kings borrowed to fight wars and fund luxury, while the tax system protected the rich and crushed everyone else. When the revolution exploded in 1789, it destroyed the political order, but it did nothing to fix the arithmetic. The new revolutionary government tried a shortcut: paper money called assignats, supposedly backed by confiscated church lands. At first, it felt like magic, money without pain. Then it became inflation without brakes. Prices exploded, trust collapsed, trade slowed to a crawl. Soldiers marched in wooden shoes. Creditors demanded metal, not promises. France had revolutionary ideals, but no monetary spine. This is the chaos Napoleon inherits. He's 29 years old, a soldier by training, but a systems thinker by instinct, and he sees the problem immediately. Before you command an army, you must command a currency. So he does something radical, especially for a country still hot with revolutionary suspicion. He builds a bank, not the old aristocratic money machine of privilege, but a hybrid institution designed for stability. In 1800, Napoleon creates the Bank of France. Private investors provide capital, the state provides authority and direction. That mix is deliberate. Purely public money had already proven dangerous. Purely private finance had already proven corrupt. This new bank would stabilize payments, discount commercial bills, and issue banknotes carefully, slowly, under strict limits. The message was simple: your wages will spend, your contracts will clear, your money will mean something tomorrow. Confidence doesn't come from speeches, it comes from structure. And Napoleon understood that. But money alone isn't enough. You need discipline behind it. So he rebuilds the treasury from the ground up. He appoints serious professionals, centralizes cash flows, cuts waste, replaces improvisation with accounting. For the first time in generations, the French state starts acting like it knows where its money is. Then, in 1803, he gives France something it hasn't had in years: a currency people can believe in, the franc germinal, defined by fixed weights of silver and gold. After years of paper illusions, money is once again tied to reality. This wasn't ideology, it was psychology. People needed to believe that tomorrow's coin would still buy bread. And it worked. But credibility requires more than coins. It requires taxes that actually get collected. So Napoleon kills the old system of tax farming, a breeding ground for corruption. The state will collect its own revenue: land taxes, personal taxes, business levies, excise duties. Inspectors carry notebooks, not bribe bags. Land registries expand. Assessments are based on measured acres, not influence. In 1807, he creates a supreme audit court. Audits aren't bureaucracy in Napoleon's system. They are the nervous system of trust. By the time he turns fully to war, France finally has something it hasn't had in decades: a financial backbone. With the financial floor rebuilt, Napoleon turns to what will define his era: continuous war. And this is where he becomes modern. He treats war like a cash flow system. Victories are not just strategic, they are financial events. Defeated states pay indemnities. Occupied territories supply the armies occupying them. Grain, horses, uniforms, metals, priced, recorded, accounted for. The front pays the front. As long as Napoleon keeps winning, the empire funds itself. After Prussia collapses in 1806, money pours in. After Tilsit in 1807, even more follows. He even sells Louisiana to the United States, $15 million in cash and bonds. Money in hand beats colonies you can't defend. For a time, the machine works. The economy is not an afterthought, it is the second front. But every system has a breaking point. For Napoleon, it is the sea. Unable to defeat Britain directly, he tries to defeat it financially. The continental system: close Europe to British goods, crush British trade, starve British credit. On paper, it makes sense. In reality, it collides with human behavior. Smuggling explodes. Neutral flags multiply. Coastal towns quietly cooperate to survive. Britain adapts. Napoleon's allies bleed. The blockade hurts friends more than enemies. More enforcement follows. More customs officers. More seizures. And here is the lesson. Coercion can stretch policy. It cannot replace economics. Markets find cracks. States burn resources trying to seal them. The system grows rigid. Then comes the winter. The Russian campaign of 1812 is not just a military disaster. It is a balance sheet collapse. The men lost are not just soldiers. They are trained, expensive human capital. The horses frozen in the snow are not just tragedy. They are mobility the treasury spent years feeding. Supplies burn. The contribution model collapses. Suddenly, the center must pay everything. Confidence weakens. Credit tightens. Even the best-run treasury cannot fund a war that consumes faster than taxes can replenish. And yet, this matters. The system Napoleon built survives him. When Paris falls, the Bank of France remains. The franc survives. The audits continue. The tax collectors keep walking their routes. Napoleon did not just conquer Europe, he standardized a state. And that is why his shadow still matters. His era reads like a blueprint for the modern world. Central banks, credible money, professional administration. But it also carries a warning. Systems built on momentum, on victory, growth, or endless expansion, develop costs that feel permanent. Then comes the shock, the war, the crisis, the slowdown, and governments reach for familiar tools, emergency money, emergency borrowing, and the hope that confidence will do the rest. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. History is the record of those moments. If there is one image to keep, it is this: a ledger open beside a map. When they agree, power holds. When they don't, collapse is already moving. History doesn't repeat. But if you don't understand it, it still hits the same way.